But when it comes to Christ, when it comes to Christ Jesus, that is what we call the New Testament. In the New Testament, the emphasis is no more on law. Remember that forever. The emphasis is no more law, even though God did not utterly eradicate all laws, and especially the 10 Commandments. God did not eradicate it, but we are no more supposed to live by the orderliness of law anymore. In the New Testament, the emphasis is no more on law. Remember that. If it is in the Old Testament, the emphasis is on law, which is law of sin and death. Sin and death. In the New Testament, emphasis is no more on law, because we only just love the Lord thy God and your neighbor as yourself. No law. The only one commandment. No law in the New Testament. But so what spirit is that? What spirit does that carry? If there is no law, just love. Love God, love your neighbor. What is that called? That is called the law of the Spirit. The law of spirit and life. The law of spirit and life. Remember that New Testament is operated by the law of spirit and life. Old Testament is operated by the law of sin and death. So John chapter 1 verse 16 and 17, and I've read 16, now 17, says, for the law, which is the law of sin and death, was given through Moses, but through Jesus. But Jesus brought another order. Jesus brought another law. So what is the law that Jesus brought in the New Testament? If Moses brought the law of sin and death, Jesus brought grace and truth came through Jesus Christ. Jesus brought grace and truth. Grace and truth, no law. But what philosophically, what is the orderliness? How does that function? What is the functionality of that? How do we call grace and truth that Jesus brought? If we are going to use the word law for it, or the spirit of it, is called the law of spirit and life. So Jesus brought grace and truth. That grace and truth is operational only by connecting to the spirit. And connection to spirit gives you life. That is why it's called the law of spirit and life. Spirit and life. Because grace is operational only by the spirit and in the spirit. Truth is operational only by the spirit and in the spirit. So the law of grace and truth is connected to spirit and life. Now, when it comes to Moses, what he brought is the law. He brought this law, which means the law of sin and death.